is called Leaving the City of Regret by Larry Harp, heavily edited by Reverend Marla Mason. This trip I was going on was going to be unpleasant, and I knew in advance that no real good would come of it. I'm talking about my annual guilt trip. I got tickets to fly there on Wish I Had Airlines. I couldn't check my baggage. I had to carry it all the way. It was weighted down with 1,000 memories of what might have been. As I checked into the Last Resort Hotel, I noticed that they would be hosting the year's most important event, the annual pity party. I wasn't going to miss this great social occasion. Many of our leading citizens would be there. First, there would be the Dunn family. You know, should have, would have, and could have done. Then came the I Had family. You probably know old Wish I Had and his clan. Of course, the opportunities would be present, missed and lost opportunities, and the biggest family would be the Yesterdays. There are far too many of them to count, but each one would have a very sad story to share. Then, Shattered Dreams would surely make an appearance. And It's Their Fault would regale us with stories about how things had failed. And each story would be loudly applauded by "Don't blame me," and I couldn't help it. Well, I went to this depressing party, knowing it was just going to take me further down. But as I thought about all the stories of failures brought back from the past, I suddenly had a new thought. It occurred to me that this trip and its subsequent pity party were booked by me and could be canceled by me. I started to truly realize that I didn't have to be there. I didn't have to be depressed. One thing kept going through my mind. I can't change yesterday, but I do have the power to make today a great day. I can be happy, joyous, fulfilled, encouraged, as well as encouraging. I packed my bags and I left the city of regret immediately, and I left no forwarding address. And then I remembered I don't even need my baggage. Am I sorry for the mistakes I've made? Yes. Can I undo them? No. So, if you're planning a trip back to the city of regret, cancel your reservations now. Instead, take a trip to a place called Starting Again. I like it so much that I've taken up permanent residence here. My neighbors, the I Forgive Myselfs and the New Starts, are so very helpful. I don't have to carry around any more baggage because the load is lifted when I arrived. If you can find it in your own heart, this city of Starting Again, please look me up. I live on I Can Do It Street. I'm going to share today's affirmation with you, and then I'll invite you to declare it with me. I was created for joy, and I live joyfully, allowing my light to shine effortlessly forth. I walk in happy expectancy of divine good, making merry and honoring that which created me by nurturing a joyful and loving heart. I fill my life with joy. Please stand and declare this affirmation with me with conviction. I was created for joy, and I live joyfully, allowing my light to shine effortlessly forth. I walk in happy expectancy of divine good, making merry and honoring that which created me by nurturing a joyful and loving heart. I fill my life with joy. And so it is. Thank you, beloved. Don't need no ticket. All you need is God. All you need is a heart of gratitude. All you need is a heart of love. That's it. So let me ask you this. Do you have any regrets? Anything that you would have done differently? Anything you would have said differently? Anything that is weighing on you? Anything you said or something you didn't say? Perhaps you regret something you didn't say. Is there anything you're holding on to or beating yourself up for? Anybody? You know, here's the challenge with regret. Regret keeps us firmly stuck exactly where we are. Exactly where we are. Now, is there anything you'd like to move forward with into your life? Is there anything else you'd like to be doing? Do you know that your regret, my regret, is keeping me stuck? Your regret is keeping you stuck right where you are. And we are here to evolve, to wake up, to embrace more of the divinity that we are. And if we're camping out back here in the city of regret, we're not growing, we're not evolving. But you know what? We can just get on that train. You don't need no baggage. All you need is faith. Regret. It's an interesting word. I looked it up in the dictionary. First thing to know, you probably already know this, anytime you see the prefix it always means again, right? The gret part, the Latin root word is gretan, Gretan, and it means in Latin to weep, to re-weep, to weep again, and again, and again. And again, to re-weep, to feel sorrow or remorse, to feel a sense of loss, to feel sorry about. And you know, regret actually has a purpose. Let's weep. Let's re-weep. And it serves a purpose in our spiritual evolution until we start to re-weep. And re-weep and re-weep and re-weep until all we're doing is weeping, camping out in that with the family, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Yes? And so what we want to do is to move out of that city of regret into a greater experience of life so that we can free up our souls, free up our energy. Now, there are two things that we tend to regret in our lives, kind of two broad categories that we tend to regret. The first are the things that we didn't do, right? Any things that you didn't do that you regret? Kind of the woulda, coulda, shouldas. The things like, if I'd only bought property in the 70s. Right? In Seattle, in the 70s, if only. You know, when the sign was up that said, with the last person to leave Seattle, turn out the lights, right? See, the missed opportunities, the wish I hads. This is kind of one broad category of regret. The other one is the what I did do's. Yes? Have you ever behaved badly? Am I the only one? And when we behave badly and we know it, sometimes we camp out in that area of regret called blame and shame and guilt. You know, I had a really interesting experience a few years ago. I had actually, when I was a young woman, very young woman, I kind of behaved badly. I did something to someone that was not appropriate. And it was so interesting because I hadn't seen this person in like 30 years. And I had been carrying around that blame and that shame and that guilt. And suddenly, at my stepdad's funeral, there was this person in front of me. And it triggered all the old stuff, right? And yet, here I am, looking at that person at the reception after my stepdad's funeral, and we kind of, hugged, and how are you, and what you been doing, and how's your life, and how many kids, and where'd you go, all of those things, and we get all caught up. And we talked for probably half an hour. And it felt like time to me. And I thought, I'm going to take this opportunity to atone. And I said, do you remember? And she interrupted me. And she put her hand on my arm and she said, no, I don't. Not like, no, I don't in a codependent way, but like, no, I don't remember in a way like, I'm done with it. I'm over it. Now, isn't that a beautiful thing? But here's the message in that. I'd been worrying about it for 30 years. And I don't know when she got over it, but it might have been 6 months later. You know what I mean? And I had been carrying something around maybe for 29 and a half years that I didn't need to. I had been carrying around blame, shame, and guilt that I didn't need to be owning because this person wasn't in that place anymore. I was pre-forgiven, and how convenient is that? Now, it is an interesting thing in our culture. It's almost good in our culture to feel bad about yourself, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? We talk about how bad things are. We talk about how it was my fault. We talk about, blame, and we blame others and we blame ourselves. And we chitter on about it with our friends. We pay therapists a lot of money so we can talk about it some more. And I'm not saying don't do that. But let's rethink this idea that it's good to feel bad about yourself. Let's rethink this idea, erase, erase, erase. And step into the notion, maybe it's good to feel good about myself. Maybe it's good to love myself. Maybe it's good to face those things from 30 years ago and let go of them, rather than beating ourselves up for what we didn't do, or even what we did do. Why is it important that we do that? A couple of things come to mind for me. The first one is hanging on to all that stuff. It's just an energy sucker, right? It just it leaves us dry. It leaves us without energy to be about God's work. It leaves us without energy to be about our own inner work, about our spiritual evolution, about our saying yes to a greater sense of divinity within and without, in myself and in the other person. So number one, it just takes up a bunch of energy and a bunch of time and a bunch of money. The second thing is there is this little spiritual principle that we talk about quite a lot around here, and it's called the law of attention. The law of attention goes like this: what we put our attention on increases. I'm going to say that again. What we put our attention on increases. And if I am putting my attention on everything that didn't work, all the things I feel bad about, all the guilt I'm carrying around, what's going to happen to that? Increase. The law of attention. Because that's where my attention is. But the spiritual truth is there is an innate good making itself known as me. I am born perfect, whole, and complete. And yes, I've made mistakes. I've done things that hurt people. I've neglected to do things that hurt people. I've done and neglected to do things that hurt me. But if I allow that to suck my life energy away, if I give it my attention, it will rule me. And what I'm called to is something greater than that. I am called to recognize and know my innate spiritual good. I am called to learn and grow in the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit that abides in me. All it wants to do is make itself known as greater love, greater grace, greater power, greater joy in my life. That's it. I have to create the space for it. I have to get on the train. Or I can camp out at the station, cold, on the bench, wishing my life was different. And so how do we do this? We put God first. We put God first. Do you see, it's interesting. Actually, let me say this. Ricky Byers wrote this really amazing song that kind of changed my life. And it's just one line in the song. The whole song is beautiful, but the line that really got me is, when you really get God, all the time you think you've wasted is given back to you. See, and how I hear that is all of your regrets, all of the things you wish you'd done, all of the things you didn't do, all the things you did do, all the time that you think you've wasted is given back to you. When we turn and we put our attention on God, when we allow that divinity to fulfill us, when we allow that divinity to live us all the time we think we've wasted is given back to us. Or we can re-weep. 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 Regret. Cry some more. Put our attention on what's not working, what doesn't feel good. Take a breath with me. And beginning right now even to release the energy of the old regrets, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, the I wish I hads. Releasing regret, releasing the re-weeping requires that we seek first the kingdom. And what does the scripture tell us? When we seek first the kingdom, all else is added unto us. When we seek first the kingdom, everything we think we've wasted is given back to us. So how do we do that in the context of re-weeping or regret? How we seek first the kingdom, number one step, be willing. Be willing to seek first that kingdom. Be willing to know God more deeply. Be willing to release regret. Be willing to turn your attention from everything that's not working to everything that is working. Be willing, I'll just say it. There's a lot of sick people in my life right now. And this morning I was having a little talk with God about that because I'm a little irritated about it. And you know, what came through really clear in my prayer and meditation around this right now is be grateful for your own health. Be grateful that you have the physical and the mental and the emotional ability to be there for people you love who are suffering and in pain right now. Be grateful. See, I was putting all my attention on, everybody's sick. No, put my attention on my own health, my own ability to be there and support and love others. Do you see? I seek first the kingdom, but first I have to show my willingness by moving into prayer and meditation and saying, God, I'm a little irritated about this. I'm willing to have a different experience of life. I'm willing to see things differently. And when you open your mind, the universe will provide a new thought, a new idea. Be grateful for your own health. So the first step in seeking first that kingdom is be willing to turn toward the greater good and experience it. Which means we have to stop focusing on it's good to feel bad about yourself. We have to stop talking about how bad things are. We have to stop kvetching with our friends over coffee about how bad things are and put our attention on the new idea and show the universe our willingness to have a different experience. You got step one? You're going to be willing, right? And then step two is actually pretty important. You got to have a pity party. It's important to feel your feelings. If there is a regret that you have that is a genuine regret, if you've hurt someone, if you've been hurt, feel your feelings, but feel them from a willingness to have a greater experience, not from a willingness to be stuck in them. We feel them. Give yourself a time period. I got 10 minutes if it's a little thing. I got 2 days if it's a big thing. I got 6 months of therapy if it's a huge thing. Be willing to feel your feelings about it in a way that's healthy and productive, not gossipy and keeps you limited. So have your pity party. Just don't build a house there. Just don't camp there. Just don't make it your way of life. Feel all your feelings. Allow them to move through you. See, things that are stuck, if you step on the hose, the water can't move through. If you step on the hose of your feelings, they can't move through and out and into a greater energy, a greater life, a greater good for you. So feel your feelings. And now, step 3, ready? Once you've really felt your feelings, now you got to tell your feelings how to feel. And I wish that was my line, but it's not. Reverend Ike, who remembers Reverend Ike? He used to preach, you got to tell your feelings how to feel. You got to tell your feelings how to feel. If you've been camping out in the city of regret, feeling bad, now you have to tell yourself, all right, I've had my little pity party now. I command myself to feel good. Who's in charge of your feelings? All of the stuff or you? Feel them. Don't let them drive you. Don't give them control over your life. Once you've felt them, now you got to tell the new feelings how to feel. The law of attention, freeing up all of that energy and activating the law of attention by telling your feelings to feel good about things, telling your feelings to feel grateful for the health that you are experiencing in the midst of a lot of people needing support. Do you see? So now we tell our feelings how to feel. Yes? Step 4. Any feelings of regret now, the energy, remember the energy that's been sucked up by regret is now free to do something else, isn't it? And I invite you to consider placing the energy of regret in some service to the world. It's the idea of atonement, isn't it? You know, it is interesting, even in that 30 years that I was kind of holding on to this thing from when I misbehaved when I was young, I had been doing some stuff. I had been doing some atonement work. I had been trying to make a difference in the world to make up for what I had done. Does that make sense? And so what I invite you to do with step 4 is take the energy of regret and put it into making a difference in the world. And you know, I always like to find a way to work this in every Christmas season. And it just seemed really appropriate for right now. Howard Thurman, a beautiful spiritual teacher, philosopher, wrote this poem called The Work of Christmas. And what I invite you to do is open your heart and open your ears and open your mind to hearing these words from a place of, I'm in the process right now of releasing some energy that has been stuck in the realm of regret. And here are some ideas about what you might do now with some of that energy. And so hear the words of this poem by Howard Thurman. It is called The Work of Christmas. When the song of the angel is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the people, to make music in the heart. This is the real work of Christmas. I don't know about you, I'm taking down the decorations. Ours are coming down this week. And now let's be about the love. And you can use the energy that's been all tied up in holding on to your regrets, in re-weeping, to rebuild the nations, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to heal the broken, to find the lost. You can use that energy to make the world a better place. And at the same time, you are atoning, if you will, for anything that you did or didn't do that you have been hanging on to. So step 4 is to place the energy of regret on making the world a better place from a new idea. An idea that the kingdom is right where I am, that God is right where I am, that it's calling me to evolve and grow, and so I am going to be of service to the world in a way that evolves and grows me. I'm going to make a difference. Because God is good and all is well, and I am created in its image and likeness, and I too am good, and anything I've ever done that looks like not good, I can make up for by putting the energy of love and peace and joy to work in my little corner of the world. And you know what? If we were all putting the energy of love and peace and joy to work in our little corner of the world would be a pretty darn good place. Each one of us is responsible for our piece of the world. Let's make the world a better place. Let's use the energy we've been sucking up into, I'm not good, everything's bad. Set it free by our faith. Step on the train by our faith. That something greater than I am is working through me to make a difference in the world. So, do you have any regrets? I'm going to give you an opportunity to work these 4 steps right here and right now. You have a little tiny piece of paper that was given to you when you came in the door. Is there anyone who does not have a little piece of paper like this? We need a couple up here at the front of the room. Bring to mind something that you regret. And maybe it's a big category of a whole bunch of things, and maybe it's a little tiny thing, whatever it is for you. Would you come on up? Whatever it is for you that you regret. You might be able to capture a whole realm of regrets, or you might have to just find one little thing. And I invite you to just place a few words on this piece of paper that capture the essence of that regret. Show your willingness to release it. Remember, becoming willing to release is step 1. Show your willingness to release this sense of regret by writing it on this piece of paper. Briefly, in a few words, take a moment now. And as you write these words down on this piece of paper, just allow yourself to feel how you feel about it. What are your true feelings? Regret, loss, sorrow? You may need to re-weep. Perhaps you're feeling a sense of loss or a sense of remorse. See these words on this piece of paper and feel your feelings about them. How does it feel to you right now? The sorrow, the remorse, the loss. Allow yourself to re-weep for a moment. And when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to release regret. And here's how you do it. With a willing heart, in your feelings, approach the God candle. And it's a 2-step process. One is to light the paper, and the other is to throw it away. Release it. Watch it go into the nothingness from which it came. I'm going to do it again. It's a 2-step process. Your piece of paper lit from the God candle, this, which cleanses and purifies all things. Light your paper and release it. Knowing that this regret you've been hanging on to simply disappears into the nothingness from which it came. Now, Stephanie Ann is going to provide a soundtrack for this experience. And just whenever you are ready, feel free to come on forward and release your regret. How does your heart sound letting go? How does it feel to be letting go? Begin to imagine now into the feeling of release. Feel what just happened for you, this thing, this regret, this thing you've been holding on to. How does it feel to be set free? What is the quality of your life now that you no longer are carrying this baggage around? What is the quality of your life? What is happening in your heart and in your soul? How are you lightening up? How are you getting on board? How does it feel? And now I invite you to elevate that feeling, to lift that feeling to a quality of God that you want to carry into 2019 with you. A quality of God. Perhaps it's love, joy, peace, freedom, harmony, unity, wholeness, wisdom, grace. What is the one quality of God, the one word that most captures this feeling of release for you? And when you know what that word is, I invite you to write it on your white stone. Take a few moments to write that on your white stone, the word that most captures the essence of this feeling of freedom for you. I may have missed a few of you and you didn't get a white stone. Anybody else? Take a moment now to simply write your word on the white stone. And I invite you to allow this stone to go with you everywhere in 2019. For this is the quality of God that you most wish to embody. And you might carry it in your pocket so that when you put your hands in your pocket, you go, oh yeah, there it is. Or you might put it somewhere in your wallet so when you open your wallet, you see it. Or you might put it, last year I just dropped mine at the bottom of my handbag. I spend a lot of time rummaging around in the bottom of my handbag. I saw it often. You might put it on your desk at work or on your bathroom mirror so you can ponder it when you're brushing your teeth. Your reminder to embody more fully this quality of God in 2019. And now let's turn within and we'll close this message in prayer. And I invite you to hold your stone in your hand, knowing that the word that you have written on this stone represents a divine quality that you have said yes. I have shown my willingness to be transformed. I have felt my feelings, and now I am telling my feelings how to feel. This is the quality I most embody in 2019, filling the void left by the regrets with something new, with a new thought, a new idea of love, of peace, of joy, of harmony, of wholeness, of power, of grace. Whatever that word may be for you, simply allow the reality of it to bubble up from deep within your being, for it is a divine idea in the mind of God making itself known as you. And simply embrace the greater awareness of your life as an expression of something greater than you are. And know that you are getting on the train right now. You are stepping forward in faith, saying yes to this divine expression in your life. And so I do give thanks. I give thanks for the awakening, for the growing awareness. I give thanks for the spiritual evolution that has taken place here this morning. And I give thanks that we have been transformed by the renewing of our minds this day. And that the power and the presence and the love of God is right where we are. And so I close this message with a grateful heart, calling forth the greater good that is already who and whose we are. And so it is. Amen.